All right, so give us a little scoop about back on the show. How was it working with Robert Culp?
Originally, I think Bob Culp and I felt the same about each other. I know that he thought I was a pain in the ass, and I felt the same. But just 2 weeks or so into it, I knocked on his trailer door, and we kind of, metaphorically speaking, kind of duked it out in his trailer and worked it out and became, honestly, very, very good friends from thereafter. And I'd say we're even better friends now, 30 years later.
But that probably helped because the characters were kind of, always a little bit contentious, too.
I do think that. I mean, what you saw on screen was really what it was like off screen. We did not like each other initially, and I think we kept that going. It was always a very cordial, professional relationship, but at arm's length, And I do think that worked for the benefit of the show. And Connie and I became very, very dear friends and still are to this day.
Connie Sellecca back then might have been the hottest woman of all time.
I think she was the hottest woman of all time.
Oh
my God, I would be just a casual bystander. I would watch her walk into a room, and literally every head in the restaurant would turn.
Did Gil Gerard ever come and threaten to kick your ass if you messed around with his woman?
Yeah. I always made sure I had the super suit on when he came to the set.
The Magic Jammies.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man. You don't fool with them.
I was watching last night. I was rewatching a pilot again, and I'm staring at this one character, and I just realized that it's Michael Paré, as your troublesome student.
Mm-hmm.
You guys seem to have from the beginning, a really nice relationship, and it's just kind of nice to see a face, like his that would go on to do some other great work in the '80s.
Yeah, it's nice. Michael is one of the few guys that I know professionally that still calls me Billy. He calls me Billy Katt. I said, Michael, you can't call me that. I'm like really an adult now. He said, no, Billy Katt. I saw him yesterday, actually. We had coffee. He's getting ready to head off to Indonesia. He's going to do a movie over there.
Oh, fantastic. We don't see enough of him.
Did I see that he was doing some voice work, though, for a comic that you were doing?
Yeah. Well, we did, one of our first books that we did with the company, Catastrophic Comics, and you can go to our website and see it, but we're doing some motion comics. And what that is basically is you take the panels of the comic book and you animate them, and you make them move, and you add music and the actors speak their voices, and you add effects and music, and it's a little 6-minute movie essentially, and it's really, really cool. And Michael Paré did the voice of Ian Sparks.
Right. I saw. That's cool. That's nice how that works out.
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
There's another cult project you had in the 80s that when we told our fans that we were going to talk to you, everybody said, ask them about the movie House. People love that movie.
Yeah, that was a really good movie, and we actually had no idea how cool that was going to be. But Steve Miner, and I got to give credit where credit is due. Steve Miner, who's a very underrated director these days, but at the time he was really up and coming. He'd done the Halloween films and produced them for Sean Cunningham, and he was going to do this breakout film. Everybody could feel it. And we got on the set, and it was his comedy bent, because the guy is really out in left field somewhere. He is really askew. He's a wacko, but a lovely man.
Steve Miner did Soul Man, right? He directed Soul Man.
Yeah.
The great Soul. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so he all that comedy that was there, I mean, that was him, But it was the kind of stuff that I'd like to do. I always like to do play the real guy in an absurd situation, and you couldn't get more absurd than that film, House.
It lives on. I mean, I know it has a website, RogerCobbsHouse.com lives on. I mean, that movie just is one of those iconic 80s moments that just, like your TV show, just continues to live on.
Yeah, they did a few, I think they did 3 more of those in that franchise, but I don't think that they were quite as successful. Well, number one, because they didn't have me, for God's sakes, And we had a great cast, George Wendt and Richard Mall and Kay Lenz. We had some wonderful people in that film, and the director, they didn't bring any of us back.
Hey, Bill, when you go to Comic-Con and do stuff like that, fans, do they want to know? What do they want to know about first? What do they want to talk about first?
Oh, God, am I still available? And I go, jeez, I'll talk to my wife. No.
Really? That's nice.
Yeah, get him out of the house. That's what she's saying. Yeah, get out. No, they want to talk. Mainly they want to talk about, the first thing is usually Greatest American Hero or Carrie or House. Those are kind of the three things that stand out in my career. They just happen to be all, that kind of genre, sci-fi and adventure.
Hey, I've got one last question before we go. Everyone knows that Tim Robbins and Kevin Costner still keep copies of their Durham Bull outfits from their movie in the 80s. I got to know, do you still have a pair of your Magic Jammies in the closet?
Damn, they didn't have eBay at the time. so I would rather have burned that costume in effigy than take it with me. I think when I left that set, I ran all the way to my car. And what an idiot I was. That's all I have to say. I told Stephen a few months ago, and I was sitting down, we were having lunch today, Stephen Giacano, and I said, Stephen, you should have taken me by the shoulders and shook me and told me what an idiot I was. But he didn't do that, and so I kind of turned my back on the show, and that was very unfortunate because it was a great thing. In fact, I'll tell you something. About a year and a half later, 2 years later, Brandon Tartikoff, who was actually the head of NBC at the time, he called me and asked me to do Greatest American Hero, and he would guarantee 2 years on the air at double my salary. And I said, no. Well, one of the reasons is because I was doing the Perry Mason specials. I'd already signed on to do that. But I suppose push came to shove, I could have gotten out of that. But that's what an idiot I was,
Nah, don't be hard on yourself. You got a legacy.
There you go. That's right. I'm everywhere. I'm in the pop culture.
Yeah, 6 Degrees of William Katt. It's my new game.
God, there'll be no living with me after this.
Hey, we really appreciate the time you spent with us today. I can't get enough William Katt.
I know. It's great. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you, my friend.
Cheers, you guys. Have a great day.
All right.
You too.